I just wanted to say, if you are a parent with a young child between the ages of 3 and 6 years of age, you're welcome to meet Jen Cunnings right there at the side door, and Jen will take the children into the salon. They'll have a children's activity, and then the children will come back in here for the benediction. So you pick your child up right at the place where you dropped them off. It's as simple as that. And Jen is now pointing. It'll be in this gathering area right back there by the pillar. That's where you can drop off and pick up your children. And again, they'll be back here, brought back here at the benediction. Welcome to worship. May I introduce the Right Reverend Bob Smith.
That's the wrong reference. I'm very, but not right. And this is kind of exciting for a change. You don't have to use the where 2 or 3 are gathered together line. No, be serious. We want to begin by acknowledging that we sit today and will walk today on the traditional unceded territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And we are grateful that they have shared this land with us. And we will be thinking about that as we do these things today.
Jesus said, "If you continue in my work, you will truly be my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." A wise person once said that there are two kinds of truth. There are small truths, and there are great truths. The opposite of a small truth is a lie. The opposite of a great truth is another great truth. Well, there are two great truths here today. There's the rub. The first is a truth that drives us to our knees. For 27 years, ever since we made as a church our first stammering apology to the first peoples in our midst, those same people have been telling us their truth about what it has been like to live in their Canada, another Canada very different from the one we know. A Canada where lands were seized and then despoiled. Families were rent asunder. Ancient traditions and cultures disparaged and ultimately irretrievably lost. Generations, their dreams denied. And as we have learned over and over again, this past week at the hearings of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, their truth has been an enslaving, debilitating truth, the antithesis of a truth that would set people free. There's another great truth, and it's to be found in the heart of all the great religions of the world, which have at their center a vision of a time when brokenness and suffering are ended, when the peoples of the earth are reconciled to one another, when the body of God, which is the world, is healed. Jesus, as we know, called that time the time of the reign of God, and he taught us, well, we know what he taught us, don't we? He taught us that we should continue in his work, and we would then know the truth. Some of you were present 27 years ago by the lake in Sudbury when the first apology was presented to the native elders who were waiting in the teepees by the lake, as the General Council worked that day to make the decision. And we came down a great mass of people down the hill to stand by the blazing bonfires outside the teepees. And I went into the teepee and read the apology. And then came out and the crowd quieted. And for the first time publicly, the apology was read. And there was a great silence that followed the reading, broken finally by the stentorian voice of the great Anishinaabe elder Art Saul. Now, he said, what in the hell are they going to do about it? It's time, dear sisters and brothers, for us to get up off our knees, to stand upon our feet. We have some serious walking to prepare for.
My name is Janice Young, and I minister with the people at St. John's United Church in Seashelt. And I too am grateful to be here today in this unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples. It is my great privilege to introduce my paddling friend, Wesley. Wes is a member and an ambassador of the Squamish Nation. He is a carver. He is a paddler and a skipper of the Urban Native Youth Association canoe, which has been part of the Pulling Together canoe journey for many, many years now. We met just over a year ago when I joined that Pulling Together canoe journey for the first time. And I discovered Wes to be not just a fun and funny guy, but a teacher and a spiritual leader. And I'm so pleased that he has agreed to be here today to welcome us and to offer an opening prayer.
Go In 1883, that church was erected. Some of my family was involved in building that church, and some of my family still attend that church. In 1886, there is what they wrote in the paper. It's known as the Great Fire of Vancouver. Sometimes I find it hard to realize why they call it so great. It was a fire. But each time I use that saying, it makes me think about it. It's bringing us closer together. It's showing us that we can jump into the same canoe and travel in one direction to make it to our next destination. We as Stonewall people, we do not jump into our canoes and expect to make it all the way to the end in one day. It is a struggle over those waves, going up and down in our life. It is a struggle with
He said, if you do it like this, you tell you caught a fish this big.
Stand and sing number 145, Draw the Circle Wide. Need more voices.
I know this one.
A reading from the prophet Jeremiah. My joy is gone, grief is upon me, my heart is sick. Hark the cry of my poor people from far and wide in the land. Is the Lord not in Zion? Is her king not in her? Why have they provoked me with anger, with their images, with their foreign idols? The harvest is past. The summer is ended, and we are not saved. For the hurt of my poor people, I am hurt. I mourn, and dismay has taken hold of me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician here? Why then has the health of my poor people not been restored? Oh, that my head were a spring of water, and my eyes a fountain of tears, so that I might weep day and night for the slain of my poor people. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
I wear this stole, green for life and hope, but carrying the new United Church crest, holding the colors of the sacred circle, red, white, yellow, and black, carrying also words of Mohawk, Agwe Niade de Wa Naren, meaning all my relations. We gather here in sacred territory of Salish people, and we say, all my relations. I wish to acknowledge one of my brothers, Alvin Dixon, who has been part of this journey for decades, who has walked with people in the United Church and in the community at Broad, one who is himself a survivor, and one who now struggles with challenges of health, but has been able to find strength for 3 hours per day at this time of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And he is here today. And Alvin, I thank you and bless you on your journey of healing this day and in the days to come. And I would invite applause as we recognize. Will you join me in prayer? O Creator, O Holy One, help us as always to be open to the touch of your Spirit, so that the words of my mouth, but the meditations of all our hearts might be graced by you in and through the love of Jesus Christ. Amen. The Aboriginal people of Guatemala, the Mayan people, have a word for God that catches and embodies the mystery that flows through all things, gives it concreteness, gives it the flesh. This word for God, Kushko, I Kush Wachuleo, which is in our language, heart of heaven, heart of earth, recognizes that the Spirit is concretized in heart, the heart of life and creation that beats within each one of us, the heart that beats all around in sea and sky, in leaf and earth and in all our relations, the heart that beats, the heart of heaven and the heart of earth. It would be a word for God that would have been well loved by the prophet Jeremiah, who seemed to have almost endlessly heart-to-heart conversations with the one who called him, the one who called forth the cosmos, the universe. And in these heart-to-heart conversations, it would often seem that both God and Jeremiah ended up with broken hearts. For the God that Jeremiah speaks of is a God that weeps, a God that looks upon us and upon creation and what has been done and not done, whose heart then breaks open and pours forth tears. In the passage we heard today, it is almost impossible to know whether we are hearing the weeping of Jeremiah or the weeping of the Creator. The voice cries out, "My joy is gone and grief is upon me. My heart is sick. Oh, I mourn. For the hurt of my people I am hurt, and dismay has hold upon me." This is heart of heaven, heart of earth, Kush Kohi, Kush Wachuleu, who says, "Oh, that my head were a fountain of tears, and that I could spill my spring of water, for my people are slain, the hearts of my people are broken. This past week, in the unfolding days of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, there has been such weeping. And there also it has been hard to know whether these are the tears of the heart of earth or the tears of the heart of heaven. They seem joined. They seem to be one and the same. And so stories were told by survivors of courage, of integrity, of dignity, and of great resilience. And the tears were offered. 400 stories now officially recorded and part of a never-to-be-lost history for survivors, for us, for all generations, for this country. There was such weeping as woman after man stood and said, "My life, children abducted and taken away, families ripped apart, and villages silenced, no longer filled with the laughter of children. Little ones telling stories of hair that was cut, special dresses that were taken, crying in bed alone, stories of being beaten and abused and raped, stories of hunger and cold, stories of racism and language and culture denied and stripped away, and there were tears." The hymn writer Shirley Arena Murray says, "God weeps. God weeps at love withheld, at strength misused, at children's innocence abused, until we change the way we love. God weeps." Heart of heaven, heart of earth, God weeps and weeps. And there were more tears this past week, not only of those who had survived, but of their families and of those who stood with them and surrounded them with support as the stories were shared. Tears from the generations to follow, upon whom such destruction made its way. And there were tears in the hearts of those who witnessed the stories, who realized they were being gifted with a great treasure, whose hearts were also opened, and then in shame and in guilt, and in the beginnings of repentance and the beginnings of an acceptance of responsibility, offered their tears as well. And it was hard to know whether they were tears of earth or tears of heaven, for God weeps with those who are abused, and God weeps also for the abusers, saying, "This is not the dream." There was a ritual that happened in the telling of stories. So many tears and therefore so much Kleenex. And the tears were held in Kleenex, and then supporters came by with bags to gather the tears, for they were sacred tears. And those bags filled with the tears of survivors, of First Nations, of settlers, of new Canadians, of young and old, those tears were taken to the sacred fire, which was burning day and night through all the days of truth and reconciliation. And they were offered as gift. And so the tears of earth and the tears of heaven, they were one, O heart of heaven and heart of earth. The theologian Frederick Buechner says that most tears are grace. Most tears are grace. And I have come to understand the truth of that statement, for I have discovered in the past and especially this week, the truth telling is hard. It is hard to speak, and it is hard to hear. And the tears are so difficult to carry, even when they are being offered to the heart of heaven, heart of earth. spoken and heard, then there is a breaking open of the heart, and the anger is released. And under the anger is the hurt, and under the hurt is the grief. And finally, under the grief is the bruised and the battered but still beating heart of hope and of resilience, of life, of love, of forgiveness, and of the search for reconciliation. It is a long, long journey from truth-telling to reconciliation. And it is a hard journey. The Danish writer Isaac Denison says, "Salt water will cure so much. Tears, sweat, and the sea. After the tears comes the sweat." Over and over the question was asked, and what will you do? Where is the second I in the word reconciliation? What is it that you will pledge to? What will you promise to do differently now that you know? Now that you have been given the story, now that you have wept. Tears, lamentation, true lamentation will break despair and paralysis and invite us forth to embody in action our commitment to reconciliation. A friend long ago gave me a button, and there were 2 feet on the button, and it said, "Where have your feet taken you today?" It is a good question to ask at the end of every day as you prepare for sleep. Off goes the button, and there is the question which I leave with you today. Where have your feet taken you today? Where will your feet take you tomorrow and the next day? Today we walk. We join with thousands of others as a gesture of solidarity, embodying in ourselves heart of heaven, heart of earth. We carry several hundred hearts of beating life and of hope and of reconciliation dreams. Today, Elder Mary Charles, one of the elders who opened us with prayer, she, an elder of the Musqueam people, said, "You are stepping out into the right journey. But it is only a step. It is one step, and then another step. We cannot know where this journey will end. And for many of us, we may not reach promised land, and that is so biblical. But we keep walking because with God's grace, we can imagine a time of beauty, a time of respect, a time when we can say all my relations and know of whom we speak. Ourselves, our brothers and sisters, First Nations, newcomers, settlers, those who survived, those who are still with us in spirit but did not make it home. Those of us who were abusers, those of us who knew nothing and profited, and those of us who now have come newly to this country, we can imagine, though we may not know beyond the next step. And that today is enough, and tomorrow we will discover the next step. I was told, "Gary, you are a man of many words. Today be a man of few words." I have a gorgeous poem. Tim said, "Skip it." But I have a little song that comes from my 60s, 70s background, Pat Humphreys, sung in my memory by Judy Small. It's a simple song, and I invite you to join me in that song once you catch the rhythm. We're going to keep on walking forward. Keep on walking forward. Keep on walking forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're going to work for change together. Work for change together. Work In a moment of silence.
God of our ancestors, who holds the spirits of our grandmothers and grandfathers and the spirits of our grandchildren, remembering the children, we now pledge ourselves to speak the truth and our hearts and souls to act upon the truth we have heard of the injustices lived, of the sufferings inflicted, of the tears cried, of the misguided intentions imposed, and the power of prejudice and racism, which were allowed to smother the sounds and laughter of the forgotten children. Hear our cries of lament for what was allowed to happen and for what will never be. In speaking and hearing and acting upon the truth, may we as individuals and as a nation meet the hope of a new beginning.
Remembering the children, we dare to dream of a path of reconciliation, where apology from the heart leads to healing of the heart. The chance of restoring the circle that is broken, where justice walks with all, where respect leads to true partnership, where the power to change comes from each heart.